Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and lacking self-control in your life? Well, you're in the right place because in this video, we are going to share 7 game-changing strategies that will not only boost your self-discipline but also transform your life. Stick around until the end and you will be equipped with tools you need to master self-control and achieve your goals. Let's dive in. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to explain what self-discipline is. When I asked many of my friends what their problems were with discipline, they told me a wide range of things from lack of motivation to cell phone addiction and everything in between. What exactly is self-discipline? How is it different from motivation? These are the first 2 questions I want to ask and answer. To begin, I think a lot of people mix up with 2 terms. I did like to share a quote from the author Samuel Thomas that neatly solves both these questions. Self-discipline is about learning into resistance and taking action in spite of how you feel, living by design, not by default, but most importantly, acting under your thoughts, not your feelings. Motivation is your overall level of desire to do something, whereas discipline is your ability to do regardless of how you feel. You can now see how important self-discipline is if you have ever woken up and thought, I don't feel like doing that. This is something that happens on a daily basis. Self-discipline gives you the foundation to stick to your long-term goals, no matter how driven you are. So let's talk about 7 important ways to build your self-discipline. I'm going to start with one that doesn't seem very useful or doable at first, but stay with me because this is a mindset shift that helped me more than any other self-improvement techniques I have ever tried recently. Focus on who you are. To put it simple, when you're trying to change your behavior, forget about the goal that you're trying to achieve and instead focus on the end result. The first time I read about the idea was in James Clear's Atomic Habits book, which I highly recommend everyone to read. There's a great line near the beginning of the book that really sums it up. Imagine 2 people resisting a cigarette when offered a smoke. The first person says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." It sounds like a reasonable response, but this person still believes they are a smoker who is trying to be something else. They are hoping that the behavior will change while carrying around the same beliefs. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but it shows a change in who I am. They no longer see themselves as a smoker because smoking was a part of their old life, not their new one. The main point is that once you accept a change in who you are, you will start to act in ways that reflect that change. Shifting my mindset in this way has been incredibly helpful in the past couple of months. The first thing that I did was to start to think of myself as a trekker. I've always been pretty active and I had a long list of trekking goals on my to-do list. But I never really took a plunge and started thinking of myself as a trekker. There were imposter syndrome reasons for this. But after reading that passage in this book, I decided to do it. I decided to start thinking of myself as a trekker, not just as someone who likes to go on a casual hike. Seriously, if you only remember one thing from this video, and I put it at the top of a reason, think about how you want to change your behavior in terms of who you want to be instead of what you want to achieve. By the way, support my work by subscribing and also watch this video till the end as we have some important points to cover. Next is the step up reminders. It is important to have a strong reason for the actions we take if you want to be consistent with them. One way to stay disciplined is by frequently reminding ourselves of why we are doing it in the first place. This reminds me of the story about Jim Carrey, the actor. So when he was struggling in Hollywood, he wrote himself a check for $10 million, posted it for 10 years and kept it in his wallet. Every time he opened his wallet, he would see the check and remind himself of why he would be working so hard. This is something that I do for my own YouTube channel. You can do something similar by writing down your personal goals or the identity you want to assume and putting it somewhere you will see every day. This way you will always be reminded of why you are building your self-discipline and putting in all the hard work. Remember, a strong why can help you stay motivated and focused on your goals even when things get tough. Just like practicing yoga or any fitness exercise, embracing discomfort is like a rep of self-discipline. It's a skill that can be learned and a muscle that can be stretched over time. Taking a cold shower is another great way to do this, as it is something most people don't want to do. Remember, every time you embrace discomfort, you are improving your ability to do so in the future. So don't let excuses hold you back from building a self-discipline muscle you need to succeed. The next point is focus on basics. When I say focus on basics, I mean sleep, nutrition, exercise, and habits. It is crucial to pay attention to these factors because the part of your brain that handles executive functioning and regulates your desires and impulses require a lot of energy and regular rest to function at its peak levels. Always remember that you are the first and foremost a collection of biological systems, all of which require a right input if you want to set the best outputs out of them. It is easy to think of the brain as separate from the rest of the body, existing in some metaphysical realm. However, the brain, like the rest of the body, needs the right balance of nutrition, exercise, and rest. The only fuel sources that the brain requires are motivation and determination, along with some wholesome means. If you are sleep deprived, haven't been exercising regularly, or have a poor diet, that is where you should focus on discipline first. Make time for meditation. Meditation can be a great way to improve your self-discipline. Scientific studies have shown that meditation, especially compassion training, can help regulate your emotions, which is essential for making rational decisions and staying disciplined. Getting started with meditation is easy. You can use guided meditation apps like Headspace or Calm. However, I recommend a form of meditation called Zazen, which involves sitting quietly with eyes closed and focusing on your breath. Whenever your attention is diverted by thoughts, you simply acknowledge it and return your focus to your breath. I have found that practicing Zazen over time has improved my concentration, self-discipline, and also I get good quality deep sleep. The benefits of meditation are undeniable, so it's definitely worth trying it out. Next point is build some habits. As mentioned before, building new habits is a separate discipline when it comes to changing one's behavior. However, creating a new habit requires self-discipline in the initial stages because the behavior is not yet automatic. This can be an excellent way not only to establish a new habit but also to become more disciplined in the process. Remember that when choosing a habit to build, start small and track your progress. Also, don't focus too much on achieving purity and perfect streaks. Instead, focus on making sure that your trend is going in an overall positive direction. As the behavior becomes more automatic, self-discipline improves in the process. So practice building new habits now and see how you can become more disciplined in the process. The next point is document everything and learn from your mistakes. The famous saying, write down everything and learn from your mistakes, is very helpful in all areas of life, whether you're working or playing. Not only does careful writing make sure that there is a full record of actions, choices, and results, but it also serves as a guide for future work. Another important thing is to train your mind to see mistakes not as failures but as a chance to learn and get better. When mistakes happen, write down what happened, and thinking about what they taught us can help us improve our methods and problem solving abilities. Basically, this method encourages a mindset of always learning and changing, which leads to resilience and success when things go wrong. By the way, if you have learned something today, then consider subscribing and watch this next video.